Hey guys, Bryce Tubbs here. Now, today you might notice that we are in a different location, and that's because we're basically coming in. We did a company retreat. So basically, we went down to Florida. We've been here for about a week, just kind of running both the accounting firm and the mentorship program. And for those who don't know, Sharon is now she's officially stepping in as like the head coach inside of a mentorship program. She's been, doing things for the last about 3 months inside, just making sure all the students are getting really great results. But just really excited to be able to kind of officially welcome her into the program and just make it more mainstream for those on the outside of the program, what she's going to be doing. And for those of you who don't really know, like Sharon was one of the first people I ever had inside a mentorship program, right? And it's funny. I don't know if you guys have seen her story inside, but we're gonna put a link to the video inside the description from a video we did a number of years ago when she first got into the mentorship program. And it's actually kind of funny because you were one of the first people to ever tell me about taking a vacation. Because I remember when I was getting started, I was like, I don't have time for vacation. I'm trying to hunt. I'm trying to punch people in the face. I'm trying to make as much money as possible. I got to retire, as soon as fast. But tell me more about it. Like, why do you feel it's good to take vacations?
I learned a few years ago that taking a vacation and taking that break, taking that time for yourself is really important. One thing, my husband just really doesn't see the point in it because he just thinks that it's just being just in another place. But sometimes you just need to get away from the mundane. You need to get away from the usual. You need to get away from the rat race to really take that step back and kind of look and see what it is that you're doing, why you're doing, and where do you really want to be going. So if you don't take that time and you don't take that step back, you find yourself doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're never moving forward. So that's why it's important to take that step back and just relax. Let your mind relax, let your body relax, just relax.
Yeah, and like it's been very interesting to kind of see that, right? Because like whenever you go on vacation, it really shows you how, I guess, how well your business has been set up, right? There are certain people where they can never take a vacation. Like for example, there's one student inside the mentorship program named is Susie, right? And she about a year ago, she couldn't take a vacation because everything was like thinking about her, right? And when she was at her job, it was as soon as she would clock out, like everything would stop. So when she started her business, we made it so that she would have like contractors in place. So she has about 3 contractors right now. But when she went on vacation about a month ago, she came back and said, "Oh my gosh, I am so grateful that we set up those, contractors in place beforehand because outside of like, a couple like major things that happen, all the work was taken care of. And for her, she has about 65 clients. So she started the program about February. She now has about 65 clients, priced anywhere between like 800 to about $2,400 per month, right? That's a lot of clients. Now, very grateful for her because she actually listened to what I told her when I said, "Hey, you need to have contractors in place. You're growing at such a rapid pace. We need to make sure that the business can survive without you." And that's one of the biggest things that I'm really grateful for. Another thing that's kind of cool about this trip is like, just it gives you kind of a chance to take that step back. Like we've been going to a lot of like just random restaurants that I probably wouldn't go back because I generally don't eat in a lot of restaurants when I'm at home because I'm by my trainer and I'm trying to, generally get in good shape. But as soon as we came on this vacation, I called my trainer. I was like, this is not going to be one of those healthy kind of things. And you know, the one cool thing is like we were reflecting this week on how far we came because like when I first like met her and started really working on the accounting side, right? It was at a time when things were a little bit different, right? So this year, like right now, she's made about $500,000 this year, right? And just total revenue. Hopefully, you're okay with me sharing that money, right? So about 420,000 came from about selling some rental properties that she had been building and saving for a long time, and then she had about 175 to about $200,000 in the year over her accounting firm, right? And she's actually one of the first people we've ever done a joint venture with. So she does a lot of work inside of my accounting firm. In addition for like me doing like the marketing, just sharing with her like how to do the marketing. That's why the she was one of the first students because we just didn't really have any other options. I was good at marketing and like I had done so many courses and just different things. She was more of the kind of credibility, more of the business knowledge, more of that, she just really understood how to kind of take control of a situation and really move it forward. I remember some of those first meetings, right? So I could get him on the phone, but then once we started learning sales, then you would be that person speaking on a sales call, being like, hey, you gotta do this thing now. It's gonna be, $13,000 a month. Do you want to do this thing? Like, do you remember the lunch meeting with Dennis?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us about that. Like, because I remember like we've been working so hard, right? We just nothing was working. And we used one of the methods that is inside of the mentorship program called the referral force. Right. So it's basically learning how to tap into places inside of your past life and look for influencers within your network to be able to find who is that person who's looking for accounting or bookkeeping help. And basically, we connected with a lady she used to work with called Kai, right? And then Kai basically said there's this person who's looking for some work, um, and XYZ. So you did two things. Number one, you followed up with that person on LinkedIn. So we found Dennis on LinkedIn.
Right.
Like, hey, this is the message script we're going to use to see, is this person like really ready for our service?
Mhm.
And after that, what we started doing was the person, I think it took like a week or two, right?
Right.
Before he ever responded. So we ended up like calling him.
Yep.
To no avail. And one day he just called us out of the blue because we had left our message and our phone number inside of LinkedIn. And that's when he set up that meeting. I guess like when you're inside of that meeting with them, right? I guess what was that like? Like, did you feel like you were taking a step to change your life, or just feel like another day?
Absolutely. But even before we get there, so when I reached out to Dennis through LinkedIn, he didn't respond.
Mhm.
I reached out to him again, I think in like a week later. I gave it about either a week or two later. And he responded, oh yeah, I got your first message. I'm really busy. Yeah, let's get together. That was all I heard from him. 2 weeks later passed and still nothing. So I reached out to him again through LinkedIn. And that's when he finally said, okay, yes, I know I'm really busy, but I really need your help. So let's get together for lunch.
Yeah.
So we got together and, he broke down what it is that he's looking for, and, how long he's been looking for this. And as we spoke, what he actually needed kind of changed, right? So when he found out the amount of knowledge that I brought with me, the whole position kind of changed. So at first he was just looking for somebody that was just coming in just for a little bit of a temporary work while somebody else was on maternity leave. When he found out how much knowledge that I had, the position started expanding, and the time that he needed me started expanding. And so I think that initially it was only supposed to be for, I think, a few weeks, and it actually expanded to almost a year.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. So that was really good that I kept on following up and kept on following up, not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
Right. Because you never know what's going on behind the scenes.
And for those of you who don't know, like one thing about our accounting firm is we don't just go after like small clients. Like one reason why it's hard for me to break down all the numbers inside of my accounting firm is because we generally have larger clients, right? So they're more of like enterprise level clients. Like that first deal was a $13,000 per, was it 13 or was it 14?
That was like 15.
Yeah, $15,000 per month, right?
Yep.
And that's it's a very kind of like intense kind of project, right? And the reason why we were able to get it that high was number one, because of the experience we had besides the company that was doing it. Also, they thought it was gonna be like a temporary job, right? Or a temporary like kind of contract or position.
Right.
So they were willing to pay us a lot more. But as we started like, hey, we're finding like that was crazy because like she went in and like the first like week she found it was like
Right.
mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake that like different contractors had left in the past, different people had left in the past, and it was just like it was. I think the one thing we take away from that is if you can go into a new client and show your value and just start showing out like I think you found what was $100,000.
Right. The first mistake that I found was, I think it was either 70,000 or 100,000. That was within the first week. The next mistake I found was like 2 weeks later. It was a $6 million error. He absolutely did not want to believe it. So at first he blew me off when I told him about this error. And then, he was like not really thinking that I knew what I was talking about. So I came back to him the couple of days later. I said, I really think this is an error. I think you need to look at this because this does not look right to me. And he's like, so then he started taking a look at it. And then he had to go to his auditors and tell them about the error. That was one of the hardest meetings that I've ever sat through, that I've ever seen somebody else or a CFO have to sit through. But it was like, that you go in there, you do your job, you look at what they're giving you, and you make your value known as soon as possible.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like, when we were first starting, a lot of people don't understand the power of like of the size the contracts you're going at are going to make it a lot easier for you to hit your goals. It's like when I was starting, right? I was thinking about like, how can I get like 100 people to pay me like, $200 a month, right? And it'd be a good income. My belief was just too small, right? Because I thought I had to take a long time to go and start getting clients. But it wasn't really until we started doing more communication. We were like, hey, we could probably charge more for this stuff. And we started like going around. And I can't remember exactly how we figured out we could price more. I think it was a mixture of I can't remember exactly how we figured out the pricing on that first one. But I think it was more like we knew what it would be for like a full-time
Right.
like employee.
Right.
And we knew what the value would be if we were to fix that problem. So I think we just did it like divided by like the time it would take or something, or like however many hours we thought we would be doing inside of there.
Well, even to add to that, so when we first started looking at doing this years ago, when we first started looking at doing an accounting program, we didn't think that we could charge that kind of money. So we were looking at charging, $100, $200 for a project. I had one client that I was doing her monthly bookkeeping, and we were only charging $150 a month. So, I mean, to go from that and to understanding what your real worth is to this project that I'm with Dennis, that we're charging somewhere between $13,000 and $15,000 a month. Huge difference. You have to know your work, right?
Yeah. And like, yeah, because because you had your accounting firm for like a number of years beforehand, right? And it was just like, a lot of the old school methods. And back then it was like 150 was kind of the going rate.
Right.
But now it's like there's almost like a group of people where it's like they are still kind of living below their value. And I think all they can get is like 150 to like $200 a month.
Right.
There's like the other group, which we're kind of spearheading inside the industry, which is like you can charge way more money. And it's not that you're ripping people off or that's not worth the value. It's more of a way that you see what you're doing, but you see the value and how much it's actually supporting the company.
Right.
And are able to, really get it going, get it moving. And that's really the big kind of push.
Right.
And I mean, like we came a long way too, because like when we first like teamed up, like to even get some of those earlier contracts, she like I quit my job cold turkey because I just didn't care, right? Like, I just didn't care. But she was in a place where she had been I think let go of your job, right? And then like I know there was like at that point in your career, like you had a really successful corporate career. Like, were you expecting things that turned out the way that it did?
Right. Absolutely not. When I got let go, when I got laid off, was not expecting it. Had a decent amount of money saved and so forth. Then started looking for another corporate job, and it just wasn't manifesting. And so the savings was dwindling. The savings was dwindling. I'm looking, I'm sending out resumes, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. And it got to a point where, it's like Thelma and Louise, you're driving along, you see this cliff coming, it's coming. And it's like, I got to get off of this thing. Otherwise we're all going over the cliff. And that's when we hooked up. And that's when you gave me the directions and the mentorship that would help me land that job with Dennis, and things just changed. Everything has changed since then. Like I said, started out where it looked like I was heading for bankruptcy, and now here we are down in Florida. In the weather.
Yeah, because like that's rough because like a lot of people like they think the job is secure if I do a good job, if I keep my head down, if I just go to work every single day, like they'll take care of me, right? It's almost like I don't know. I don't know if that's as true as what today as what it used to be.
Right. It definitely isn't. Years ago, you got in one job and you stayed there your entire life. They took care of you. They had a pension. That was before 401ks, but there was always something to take care of you after you left the job at 60, 65 kind of thing. Nowadays, because everything is at will, they can let you go at the drop of a hat, right? So their bottom line isn't what it's supposed to be. all of a sudden, sorry, we got to downsize, 2 weeks, here you go. A friend of ours had been working for the same company for the last 23 years. They all of a sudden, out of the blue, decided to downsize her right before she could collect her retirement account. There is nothing that's guaranteed anymore. So you have to take control of your future.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a big reason, like, why you see us like even starting accounting business, because it's like I watched that happen to her, and I really kind of irritated me, right? Because like she had put in so much time in her job, she was doing really well, she had a lot of favor. The company that she was working for before she got let go had just gotten acquired, right? So they got acquired by this like an Italian company. It was this huge billion-dollar company, and they just started like just saying everything inside of it needs to go, right? They just basically like just laid off a pretty I don't know how many people exactly it was, but I was just seeing that I was like, she put in all this time, right? She's actually doing a good job. She knows what she's doing. If she can get let go that quickly and as high of a level as what she was, there's I'm not safe. That's why I was like, I'm a very impulsive kind of person, right? Which is what makes me successful when it comes to business, right? Is because I can make good, swift decisions based on the information provided.
Mhm.
So I saw the information. I saw, okay, this is the path. I had a little bit of savings left. So it's like, okay, let's go try and do this thing, which, for those watching, I am not saying to quit your job immediately. You can do that, but like average person should not quit their job. Instead, you should probably like purchase a mentorship program while you still have money, start getting clients while you have a job. And then once you're at a certain income level, then you can decide to leave if it makes sense for your situation and your family. But it's just interesting, man. Like just to kind of even think about like within the mentorship program, because that's a big thing that you're going to be kind of spearheading in the next couple of like months or years, right? Is really giving back to people inside the community. Because like it's one thing for you to make a lot of money, right? Because like she's I mean 500,000 this year, right? But it's another thing when like money stops really becoming as big of a thing, right? A lot of people like you might still be in that they call it the rat race, right? Where it's like you're working, you wake up, you go to sleep, you get a paycheck, you go home, you watch TV, you go to sleep, and you repeat every single day, right? And you're still working for money and working for money. But then there comes a time to where you get to a point in your life to where money is no longer really the thing that you're really looking for, right?
Right.
When you can go and bring in 150, 175, and it's very passive because you have a lot of like contractors underneath you, your profit margins are high,
Mhm.
and you have investments that are giving you like passive income, that's what money is a little bit different. So it's just kind of like the only thing that really makes sense is having friends, relaxing, improving your network. Because that's really all the stuff that you're going to have at the end of the day, right? A lot of people ask, like, why not just go in? If your accounting firm is doing so well, why are you coaching people? It's like, if I really care about the money, I would just focus on the accounting firm, to be completely honest with you guys. Because, like, everyone who thinks that coaching is an easier model than accounting. No. Yeah. When you think about it, for coaching, you have to deal with people who don't really have a lot of skill set. Number two, they're constantly like messaging you. And number three, they want you to like answer all their questions. Number four, you have to like get all this material, all this time. Number five, to set aside time to speak with them. Number six, when things don't inevitably work out in the first day, then they start complaining, then you got to deal with that. Versus an accounting firm, it's just like, okay, you set aside the right marketing, you get the right person on the phone. You just use the patented script. Like we have like actual like sales scripts that we use at this point. We give to all the students the mentorship program. You then have confidence. You say what your price is. Person says yes. Inside of your sales script, you make sure they understand what the expectations of working together are. That you're not on call at 3 a.m. That you only want to do this many meetings with them. This is how the reports are going to be set up. This is the accounting software you use. It's a very, very like time freedom kind of business, right? And it's able to kind of grow and kind of scale. And that's really what, is kind of why we're doing it. We're making friends with people. Like if you ever watch this YouTube channel or even my YouTube channel, you'll see we have students actually making videos for me, sharing their journey, sharing their process, like sharing the good news, giving encouragement to people that just says like, you can actually do what you're trying to do. It's just, you need to have strategy. And if you're kind of like, kind of figuring out on your own, it might be a lot harder than if you just like paid a little bit of money, got some help, and then just like got exactly what to do. Like, it's like, 'cause I was on a call yesterday, right? We have like community calls inside of the coaching program, and like we got on there, and a man texted me probably like 45 minutes before the call, and she was like, "Hey, I have some great news," and she didn't really go into detail about the news. So I was like, "Okay, this will be kind of interesting. Maybe she got her first consultation call because like she joined the program. I think about it was about 14, 15-ish days ago, right? And like the first like week, she was kind of like really fighting me to implement some of the stuff we talked about because she's like, it can't be that simple. Like LinkedIn can't be like that. Like LinkedIn has to be really hard. It's very complicated. I was like, no, just do it like this, right? And then she came on the call and she was like, okay, so hey, I got two contracts, like one cleanup, it was like, a 4 month cleanup, and it was like $2,400. And like, I talked to this other person and they're interested. I got another cleanup and it was $2,400. And I was like, okay, cool. So I mean that sounds like a $4,800 cash collected week. Um, you have a potential client that's a great job for your like first week of doing it. She's like, I wasn't actually done talking, so I actually kind of felt bad because I guess I interrupted her, and she was like, "Well, another client, and another." She ended up getting like 5 clients, right? Technically it was four. The fifth one's kind of like pending. Fifth one is a potential $4,400 per month client. But all that to say is she ended up getting about $11,800 in cleanup deposits, and she ended up getting about I think it was about $7,000 in monthly recurring clients. So if she gets this another contract, which is $4,400, that's about $12,000 per month in monthly recurring income that she would have got. And it was like 8 days, right? I'm like, well, imagine if you wouldn't have fought me for those first like 8 hours, how much more you would have made. But it was just like, it's so funny nowadays to like see like students in the program like succeed so fast because of how hard it was for us. Like for me, like Leslie, for you, she first started her firm, I think was in 2001.
It was somewhere around. Well, we started and stopped several times. So I don't know.
So
It could have been 2001, 2003, 2000. So it was several
no,
times.
it was 16 years before she got six figures. It was 15 months for me. But then when you see these other people, it's like I think it's like $8,000 a month or $9,000 a month, and it takes them like 3 months, or even like Nicole got there in like she got there in 37 days.
Okay.
Um, like it was so funny because she got to about 11,800 and some change, and then she came to the next coach and was like, "This week I didn't get as many clients." Said it's been 37 days. You're at $11,000 per month. I was like, "Do you not understand how hard it was for me to even get close to that point?" And it's kind of interesting because like a lot of people like when they join a mentorship program, they avoid all of that like pain and challenges that we go through.
Yep.
So it's actually kind of funny to hear some of the things that people complain about when they're making a lot of money. So like Paul, he was at like I think about like 12 grand a month. He's like, I didn't get a sales call this week. I was like, dude, you joined 3 months ago. You're at 11 grand a month. What do you mean you didn't get a sales call this week? You went from he had I think he was at about let's say that between 1,000 to 12,000. I'm sorry, 1,000 to 1,200 when he joined the program, right? So he
Okay.
got to 12 grand a month in
Wow.
about 3 months.
Wow.
But his mindset had not adapted to that new income level. So he was still thinking like a person who was making $1,200 a month.
Living paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah.
basically.
So like the concerns that he was bringing up were like, dude, you're no longer at that stage. You're making 12 grand a month. You need to be thinking about making systems so that whenever you get a new sales call, they're so high quality, they sign up.
Right.
So you don't need to get, 5, 10, 15, 20 calls per week.
Per week.
Right. And then that's like he did a lot of like mindset shifting at that point, right?
Right.
He eventually did calm down, like relax into his new success.
Mhm.
Right. But it just sometimes like when you get the success so fast,
Right.
and especially like when you set up your business so correctly, that actually like scales really quickly. That's when like things are different. Even like Henry.
Mhm.
So about I think it was like last Thursday, about 8 days ago, we came on the call, right? And his biggest challenge was he was getting a lot of leads on the phone, right? He was using our sales scripts, he was using like how we do LinkedIn, he was using another like marketing system we use, but the people would be like, I'm interested, send me something, and then they wouldn't get back with him. He was so frustrated. But he came on the call, he was like, I'm just tired of this, everyone's lying to me, I don't know why it's not working, like this sucks, like Bryce, what's going on? And I was like, dude, you're doing it right, just follow up with them. So what ended up happening was, I think it was like 7 or 8 people total who he had spoken to. And out of those 8 people, 5 of them ended up coming back,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And then even one of his earlier clients, he got when he first joined the program, who was at about $1,000 a month,
Mhm.
actually fired their in-person bookkeeper and is now giving him more and more work.
Wow.
So we're thinking like anywhere between about 3,000 to an extra $5,000 a month. That
Wow.
might be a 6 grand client. So when he brought on those 5 additional clients last week, that was $4,800 per month in monthly recurring revenue,
Mhm.
right? I can't remember exactly. I think it was like 5 to 12,000 in cleanup fees,
Wow.
right? And then on top of that, like one of his original clients were good. So he's gonna be at 11 grand a month. And he's in Canada. Okay. The cool thing about that is he's in Canada.
Wow.
So that's USD we're talking,
Yep.
right? So
Oh,
like
yeah.
in Canadian dollars, like he's balling. So it's just like it's just cool to see how far we've come.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's not until you like reflect
Right.
where things kind of work. So I think what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna start having, more podcast style episodes like this. We're just like recounting stories
Right.
of, all the different things like in business, whether it's, her specialty is real estate and really understanding like things. We were actually talking about this earlier. Her gift is being able to feel certain things. Like, can you explain what I mean like that? Where it's like she could be like, hey, I wouldn't go here on this day because I feel like something's gonna happen. Or I'm gonna buy this real estate property at this time, at this price point. It might say this price point here, it might say like 500,000. I'm gonna actually get it at $300,000. And here's the reason why, here's the time it's gonna happen.
Right.
And then she's able to do that.
Right.
My ability is more of I can feel when it's time to push a marketing effort forward or when it's time for someone to start a specific business model. And I can tell them kind of like what to expect there. So that's why this partnership has kind of worked out so well over the years because she knows, okay, I'm gonna go and this is how the situation is gonna play out. And I'm like, this is the right situation to be in. And she's like, this is how the situation is gonna play out.
Yeah.
So it's been a really good kind of like mixture.
Yeah.
And just really excited to see how that goes. But
Let me give you an example of with the real estate. So I remember when the very first real estate deal that I did, I told a friend of mine exactly who was a realtor, exactly actually he was an appraiser. So he's very much into the real estate industry. I told him where I was gonna look. I told him how much I wanted to pay. I told him what kind of house that I wanted to get. And I told him what kind of mortgage or financing I was going to get. And he looked at me and he said, there's no way that you can do that. He says, in the area that you're looking at, you can't get a house in that range. He also said, because you're new to this, they're not going to give you that kind of financing. You're going to have to put a lot more down, blah, blah, blah. Within 3 months, I had located the house at exactly the price point that I wanted and exactly the place that I wanted. And I got the financing that I wanted. The deal moved forward smoothly. He just couldn't believe that I was able to do this. Sometimes, you know what, you just got to follow that gut feeling.
yeah.
When you know that something is going to happen, you just got to follow it.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool thing. That's a big reason why like people succeed inside the mentorship program. So like a lot of people think like it's magic. And like I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. Like some people like when we first started the mentorship program, people would come and they'd be like, tell me the secret marketing place I need to go to and find those clients that can afford to pay me this price point. And it was more of like the longer I'm inside this game and the longer that I have like, coaching people through it, it's more about proper expectations.
Mm.
Okay. So like for example, like we give people like live sales calls of either ourselves or other students on the actual consultation call. So you know exactly like what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to say, what's supposed to sound like, how to defend that price point, how to build up that value.
Right.
So you know exactly what to do when you get there. So rather than feeling like your first consultation call that you've ever done, you've already gone through like 10, 15, it's anywhere between like 2 to 5 hours worth of you watching other people do consultation calls. And that's why like a lot of the students, like you'll see them like get, 5 grand a month or 8 grand a month, like in X amount of days. It's because they're preparing and drilling for situations that they're going to be in before they ever get in that position. So that when they've already been on like their first consultation call, it actually feels like consultation call number 50, right? They have such strong mastery. I mean, also one thing that we've been building inside the program is Florida like weather. I think the plane ride just activated my allergy or something. But we're creating systems inside where you can see exactly what time of year you should be expecting to receive clients. And if you all of a sudden have like people not responding or like something happens that's out of the ordinary, you can start course correcting to see like, did I miss this wave? Or is a new wave coming next? That's just based on like 7 years of us growing our business. And then all the other students, like we've had over 150 students inside the mentorship program. Like just every single day, every single week, we talk to the students inside. Or say, did you get a client this week? How big was the client? What industry was the client in? Where was it located? What city was it in? Right? And we just can compile this like set of data that no one else really has. Like if you're just starting like your business, like I think that alone
Yeah.
is worth the investment to the program. Just like
Absolutely.
because I remember like when I was first getting started, I would be having like heart palpitations where it'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get a client. I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills. I'm not gonna be able to survive this thing. Like it. But then knowing now, like, okay, so this week, like last year, like it was a little bit slow. Like, are we make an improvement on that, or should we be okay, if something didn't happen this week? It's very cyclical as like when you're gonna get those results and how much money you're gonna be making, which is how we can kind of like make guarantees and offers, when someone is joining the mentorship program, because there are all these like little levers we can pull based on our experience to be able to make sure you're making the amount of money you want. So I'm really excited to be able to do that, but took a long time, right?
Right. It's been a long time in coming, but it's been an interesting journey. I think we've learned a lot over the last 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, that's basically it. So we're gonna be doing more podcast episodes. Now, nothing's really off limits as far as these, right? So if you have any questions or any more like topics you'd like for us to talk about on this, that maybe you're struggling with, or maybe you would be of interest, like maybe want to hear more about the real estate stage. Like, what do we do on the real estate side? Why do we come to Florida? In addition to this trip, we're looking at real estate. We're looking for more and more investment properties to be able to go and put more of our money into. So yeah, just leave inside the comments. We're gonna be sure to do this, and yeah, like this would be great. And also, if you want more QuickBooks tutorials, so I'm actually gonna be having her make a number of QuickBooks tutorials, almost like on YouTube would be like a free course that just share every single thing you need to know about like QuickBooks and accounting to be able to start your business if you haven't already started, or if you are started, maybe you want to get more confidence, like you just have everything you need to know there. So that's gonna be on YouTube as well. If you have any video topics you'd like for us to discuss in the future, please let us know. If you want some help growing your business, maybe you've been trying to do it for a while, maybe you're thinking about getting into it, but you just don't really know what you don't know, go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to book a call with me to see if I can help you out. Okay, we can't help out everybody. We only accept a very select few people inside of the course every single month. So we want to make sure our service is very high. We want to make sure it's a very high touch program. We only want to bring on people who we know we get results for. So if you come on the call and I just have that gut feeling where it's like, I don't know if we can help this, the way that we go and do, our marketing is just not a good fit for this person. I tell you right away, because I have to make sure we protect our program and to make sure that all the students inside are getting results to keep making this thing the best program on the planet. So 10 years from now, we're still doing this and we're, killing it. So I'll talk to you guys soon. My name is Bryce Tubbs. This is Sharon. Love to see you guys, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? And we're done recording in 3. And see you.